If you've ever had a garden, you have almost certainly waged war against one of nature's most persistent little munching machines, the slug. But what if I told you the secret to controlling this pest isn't about fighting it at all? What if it's about harvesting it? Today, we're going to dig into a really radical shift in thinking that turns these slimy invaders from a total liability into a powerful garden asset. I mean, just think about that for a second. We are so used to seeing pests as a problem we just have to get rid of, right? But what if the problem itself actually contains the solution? This whole system asks us to completely flip that relationship on its head. It's a wild idea, but it's pretty fascinating. So let's start with the familiar, the gardener's nemesis. We've all been there. You go out in the morning so excited to see how your plants are doing, only to find your prize-winning lettuce or those brand new seedlings just reduced to slimy little stumps. It's a universal battle, and honestly, a lot of the time, it feels like a losing one. Okay, but before we jump into the really cool long-term biological strategy, we need an immediate tactical override, right? When your plants are under attack right now, you need a strong first line of defense. The goal here is to create a physical perimeter that slugs and snails just cannot or will not cross. And that brings us to something called the barbed wire perimeter. And no, don't worry, we're not talking about actual barbed wire. It's a really clever, completely non-toxic paste that you can literally paint onto the rims of your pots or the base of plant stems. It creates a total no-go zone for any slug or snail. And here's the best part. Look how simple the components are for this powerful paste. It's just a mix of three things. Zero soap, which is just a natural potassium-based soap. Diatomaceous Earth, you might have heard of it as DE. And activated charcoal. That's it. That's the whole recipe. So how does it work? Well, each ingredient has a very specific job to do. The soap is basically the glue. It's a binder that holds everything together and makes it weatherproof. Now, the diatomaceous earth, that stuff is made of microscopic fossilized algae with razor-sharp edges. To us, it's a fine powder, but to a slug, it's like crawling over broken glass. And then the activated charcoal, this is the genius part. It actually absorbs the slug's slime, which they need to move. It literally gums up the works. It's an absolutely brilliant triple threat. Okay, so we've got our barbed wire. Now let's add our next layer of defense, the copper electric fence. If the paste is your barbed wire, think of this as a non-lethal electric fence. It's another layer of defense that uses just basic physics to create another simple but incredibly effective barrier. So here's the deal. When a slug's slime touches copper, a tiny chemical reaction happens that generates a small electric shock. It's not enough to hurt or kill the slug, but it is definitely uncomfortable enough to make it say, nope, and turn right around. Just a simple ring of copper tape around a pot can work wonders. All right, our perimeter is secure. Now we shift from short-term defense to a long-term offensive. It's time to brew our very own biological weapon, using the enemy itself. Let's talk about something called Nematode Soup. And this right here really illustrates the huge philosophical difference. Standard slug pellets, they're poisons, plain and simple. They kill slugs, yeah, but they can also kill the birds and hedgehogs that eat those slugs. They leave toxic stuff behind. The nematode soup, on the other hand, it's totally harmless to predators. It actually creates a natural fertilizer for your plants, and it builds a lasting defense system right there in your soil. And the process itself is surprisingly straightforward. Step 1 is the harvest. Instead of killing the slugs, you go out and collect them. Step 2 is the fermentation. You put them in some water with a bit of leaf mold and let it all ferment without oxygen. That's what anaerobic means. And finally, step 3 is the application, where you just dilute that liquid and drench the soil with it. This amazing brew works on 3 different levels. First, as the slugs decompose, they breed these things called scavenging nematodes. They're microscopic worms that then go out and actively hunt living slugs and their eggs. Second, slugs are basically little bags of protein, and the fermentation turns that protein into nitrogen-rich plant food. And third, the smell of the brew itself seems to act as a death signal, warning other slugs in the area to stay far, far away. You know, this whole process is all about valorization. It's a simple idea that just means giving value to something that you used to see as waste. We're shifting our mindset from just trying to eradicate something to actually transforming it. The slug is no longer just a pest. It becomes a raw material that you can harvest. And this idea of valorization goes even deeper. If you're harvesting snails, their shells don't really break down in the soup. So you can collect them, wash them off, and use them to create a fantastic, high-quality, water-soluble calcium amendment. It's incredible food for your flowering and fruiting plants. Literally, every single part of the problem becomes a resource. So, all of this, it all comes down to one profoundly powerful core philosophy. It's a famous permaculture principle. The problem is the solution. The very thing that's causing you all that frustration holds the key to its own management and your garden's success. When you look at it this way, it's almost like a form of alchemy. A slug is really just a mobile, destructive packet of nitrogen, right? It just crawls around your garden, eating your plants. By harvesting it and fermenting it, you're simply taking that nitrogen and converting it into a stable, soluble form that you can apply exactly where you want it, to feed your plants instead. This quote just perfectly captures the entire mindset shift. When you fully embrace this way of thinking, a surge in the slug population isn't a catastrophe that sends you running for the poison pellets anymore. It's an opportunity. It's a bumper crop of free, high-quality nitrogen fertilizer literally walking right into your collection bucket. And that leaves us with a final thought. This principle doesn't just apply to slugs. So take a look around your own garden, or hey, even your own life. What other things that you see as problems right now are just waiting for you to look at them a little differently, waiting to be seen not as disasters, but as harvests?